Hey everyone, my name is Patrick. I lead go-to-market at Galxe and Gravity. So Galxe is a Web3 services platform that is geared specifically towards marketing, ecosystem development, and a whole lot more. So we do everything from questing, which we're probably most well known for. We do things that are more geared towards asset distribution, incentivization, airdrop facilitation. We also do decentralized identity management solutions, AI, and the list kind of goes on. For today's conversation, we're going to be talking about decentralized identity and how that's going to play a role in not only the immediate future, how we're working on it right now, but how that's going to work long term. How do we grow? How do we expand and use it as a tool to onboard teams into the space, onboard individuals into the space, but also provide real world value for those outside of the space as they exist today. This topic is really interesting to me in particular because for myself, when I got into the space back 2015, 2016, this was actually my catalyst for wanting to get involved. It made the most sense for me. I was aware of Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that good stuff, but I saw some work that was happening in Zurich and Zug, where they were putting identity on the blockchain using Ethereum and having some pilots going on where they could use selective sharing, using Ethereum zero-knowledge proofs, where they could share bits of information without disclosing all of your pertinent or sensitive individual information like your social security number if you're trying to get into a bar, or maybe that's a little extreme, but that was effectively the reason that I basically got into the space. So it's been a nice journey to come back and get a chance to work on this again. Going in here, if I can get this to go to the next slide. One moment. A little bit of technical difficulties. Just one moment. Yeah, we just quit that. Yeah. Oh, I really don't want to quit it because my Awesome, folks. So we'll go ahead and keep this going here. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the problem with centralized identity solutions. We'll talk about how that paradigm is shifting with some of the work that we're doing in the Web3 space collectively, some of the work that Galxe is doing in particular, how we're redefining digital identity with some of the work that we do today. We'll also talk about the importance of zero-knowledge proofs, and then how interoperability is critical to us scaling out identity solutions, providing real-world value, and creating low-friction environments for people to operate. On the problem side of things, so we all probably know and often use, if I would guess that everyone here uses some form of Google or Apple ID as a sign-in mechanism. You've used it to not only go into your account, go in and manage what you're working on across different platforms, also used as a tool for actually like effective signups. And it does create a very seamless experience in many aspects for the end user, which is great. That being said, there's a couple of challenges that do exist within that model. One is, those are centralized entities. Google makes up about 75% of that market share of all of that related traffic. Apple makes up another about 14%, and then there's only a couple of the providers that are making up that last remaining 1%. It's a centralized provider. You're giving your data to a team that you're hoping is operating in your best interest, but in many cases, obviously, these are not paid products. So if, naturally you think, if it's not paid, I'm the product, that kind of mentality. Another piece is, as you go through and actually exchange data and look to do signups, look to go in and manage your account, handle that kind of single sign-on social experience, often, one, you're relaying data to these other providers that you wouldn't want to delay or relay. The other is, even when you go through a sign-up process for a new platform, a new website, whatever it may be, not always is all of that information already populated or securely shared. So you're often having to go through, regardless of using Google or Apple, and go through and input your own sensitive information. So your surface area of risk continues to expand, and you're working with a variety of other partners where they may have different practices, different ethics, data broker, selling your data, anything of that sort. Now that shifts in the way that we think about identity management. So Galxe, underpinning all of our various services and the 32 million users that we work with, is the Galxe Identity Protocol. Now the Galxe Identity Protocol is a unified solution that involves leveraging zero-knowledge proofs, so we'll talk about how we actually do that in a moment here, and a variety of other tools that are both on and off-chain, so on-chain experiences and off-chain experiences, to create one singular profile for you as an individual that you can leverage across our ecosystem and any other ecosystem that's leveraging an identity-based product. Like I mentioned, the Galxe Identity Protocol is a self-sovereign identity service. It takes all of your inputs across both on-chain and off-chain experiences, allows you to build a collective profile, and then leverages zero-knowledge proofs to ensure that you're the owner and the retainer of your information, of that sensitive, pertinent information that you shouldn't really need to disclose with all other parties. At the end of the day, Party A will have a different requirement for what they consider is the criteria for participation than Platform B, than Service C. So what the technology allows us to do and allows you as the owner of that data and owner of that profile allows you to do is do selective sharing or sharing specific bits of information on a per need basis based on the criteria of the platform themselves. We've seen this obviously very well adopted in the context of Web3. We have to date have over 210, almost 211 million individual pieces of credential that have been verified through our network. All of that through, again, our additional product offerings as well as broader ecosystem adoption of Galxe identity services. In terms of how the technology is effectively broken down, we separate this out from the identity layer and the functionality piece into 4 key groups. So that is the credential holder, which we'll talk about in a moment here, the issuer itself, the verifier, and then the credential type. Like I mentioned before, this is not only limited to what you would see in a Web3 environment, but also takes in those different components from Web 2. So we use on and off-chain SDKs to power much of the underlying infrastructure and connectivity layer of all of the solution. Now, when we talk about credential management, or the credentials themselves, the 210, 211 million credentials that we've verified to date through this platform, good to define exactly what that effectively entails. There's 2 key components of our credentials. It's the context and the type. Easiest way to kind of think about this is the context is, hey, I'm trying to get into a bar, are you over 21? And the type is the output, the yes or the no output that you would receive that verifies that you are indeed eligible or fit that criteria for participation. Now you can extrapolate that across any number of different use cases, and that's certainly what we're seeing today. Another key call out here is we're fully blockchain agnostic, so we work across about 70 different networks today, which means that you have a fully integrated experience that's not limited to any given ecosystem or any given blockchain environment. So we have that connectivity layer that exists both on the ecosystem side and on the Web 2 side. In terms of those other 3 components that we outlined before, first we have the holders. The holders are the ones that actually receive that credential, are the ones that have passed that credential and have full ownership of effectively what means to, let's say is 21 or has a certain certification or has a certain reputation or score or any of these other kind of variables that you might want to use for different ecosystems and getting interactions. The issuers are the teams that Again, running those kind of certification programs. They might be the ones that are outlining or distributing these scores themselves or defining on what reputation can be achieved within a given platform. Very same thing with things like age or any sort of outside certification that you want to consider. Then the verifiers are the ones that build up the cryptographic schema that actually does the verification process. So let's say, hey, if we want to have somebody interact with our platform, they need to have this criteria satisfied by this issuer, and they can go ahead and participate. In the context of things like Galxe campaigns, our questing platform, you can kind of see this flow as a continuous kind of connection between all of those different pieces. So we have people today that will take our credentials that we help them create. So, hey, what type of participation activity are you looking to have? How do you want to quantify that? How do you want to qualify people for that participation and to ensure that they're signing off or being verified for that type of activity? Once those are defined and set up, then the campaign owners are able to actually issue the credential themselves once people come through the network and go through those different various stages and activations. And then the end user in their profile is given those credentials, so now they have certification. Now they have the ability to participate in a given ecosystem, again, depending on what level of certification or what type of certification they've attained, through what type of ecosystem and where that is relevant across the broader ecosystem. Now, why did we go with the ZK approach? A couple of different examples that I think speak to this that are kind of in reflection of what we've already talked about so far. One would be kind of like a gamer example. So let's say that gamer that wants to join a guild, for example, but the guild is in relation to game A. And part of the criteria for getting participation or being accepted into the guild is they want to know that you're really good. They want to know that you're really good with this specific type of game or this kind of context or, loosely defined type of games. So they might say, hey, we want to let you in, but only if you're very, very good at game B, and you have a certain reputation or score or tier that you've achieved or a boss kill or whatever it may be. So in that example, what this gamer can do is have that credential minted for their achievement of that criteria on game B and immediately work it in to get the effectively the sign-off for the guild participation on game A. And they can do that through selective sharing. So they don't have to share all of their information. They just have to share that one data point and specifically yes, no, if they meet the criteria. Another example would be things like, hey, I want to be active in a specific event. I want to go to a specific party, but it might require a certain reputation within the community. Again, you don't have to share all your information. You don't have to share your social security number, not even your name, not even any of these pieces. They just need to know, are you a reputable member of our community? Have you been participating a lot? We can use that now as a way of handling the participation for the physical or virtual events that we want to host. By using ZKP and the other technologies that are built into the Galxe identity protocol, we're able to achieve the three kind of key pieces of what we consider for identity management. So privacy, security, and efficiency. Again, like I mentioned before, we're blockchain agnostic, so we have 70 blockchain deployments today. That is underpinned by the Galxe identity protocol to ensure that you have a unified experience, that you're not getting fragmented or boxed out of different ecosystems for leveraging the Galxe identity protocol itself. We also have this embedded into all the different kind of product groups that we offer today, as well as some of our partners as well, so that when you have any interaction on platform A or within our questing platform over here, all of that universal output or achievement is brought together and then can be used as your collective profile and your criteria or fitting that criteria for other kind of ecosystem participation. So it's kind of a continuation on the same thing. Kind of core takeaway here is, if we want to compete with folks that are working on things like Google, single sign-on, Apple ID, anything of that nature, we need our products to be not only delivering the value of what blockchain and crypto and Web3 enables, so things like sovereign ownership of a data, being able to securely pass one bit of information for verification purposes and not the whole picture. All of these different pieces, it comes down to making sure that we also don't introduce additional friction in the mix, because even if there is, a very valuable solution from a technical perspective, if it's too much friction, people won't use it. Now we have 32 million users across our products today, so that's quite a bit, but we don't have the billions of users that we want to achieve as a collective ecosystem where we can start to bring people in and start to take back data ownership. So for us, top of mind is continuing to have our identity protocol outfitted across different ecosystems, either through the campaigns that they run with us, through the services they work with us on, or the things that they work about in their own right and how they leverage the Galxe identity protocol. We also expand very, very quickly from a chain perspective, so we're continuing to grow our footprint to ensure that we have full coverage so that you can interact with app over here, app 1 over here on chain 1, and app B over here on chain B. Like we like to say, the shift to decentralized identity is happening now. We built a privacy-first and scalable and interoperable model that continues to support the Galxe ecosystem and our ecosystem of partners today. That being said, if you are interested in working with us, either on anything that I mentioned earlier for Galxe, or anything that we're doing on the Gravity front, which is our layer 1 blockchain coming to market later this year, hopefully. My CTO's over there, hopefully he's okay with me saying that. You can come check out our booth, which is right around the corner here, or let us know. We also have a QR code for everyone here to be able to scan and connect with us in person. Awesome. Thank you very much.